the balance of the means used in relation with the result to be achieved, cost analysis of the results obtained in conjunction with the goals to be attained, the assessment or appraisal of the objective sought in relation to the order of priorities in allocation of human resources, and the social effect of criminalization or decriminalization in terms of their subsequent effects in society. Based on the above explanation, we can understand that which acts should be determined as criminal acts and not are depends on the interests and values of the society at that time. With the current situation, which the need to recover economic situation, which was devastated by the COVID-19 pandemic, become the national priority. The urge to give investor and business actors comfort to put their investment and conducting business activities outmatch the need to provide harsh punishment for certain behaviors that previously classified as criminal offenses before the enactment of Omnibus Law. For the conclusion, basically, the criminal law policy must be based on the principle that remedium, which can only be applied when any other regulatory instruments such as administrative law or civil law have been tried and found ineffective. Criminal law cannot become a premium remedium only because it will give a huge deterrent effect and force society to comply with the regulation. The determination of behavior is also depending on the society's interests and values at a price if the interests of society desire so. In the case of the criminalization of many acts in Omnibus Law, it is something equitable in criminal law policy to meet with the need of political and economic situation of the principle of criminal law as an ultimum remedium. It is hoped that with this decriminalization policy, investors and business actors can invest and run their business without worrying too much about being exposed with the severity of criminal sanctions, and in return can increase FDI that coming to the country. However, since this policy was just recently being implemented, we cannot yet see its effect. Or on the contrary, have negative effect will be found out only after we have been observing this policy for quite some time. That will be all. Thank you for your kind attention. Back to you, moderator.
Thank you, Mr. Adit. Such a very interesting topic about decriminalization through Omnibus Law. Omnibus Law is a means to attract investment to Indonesia. And in the past 2 years, this topic was very huge in Indonesia. So we invite a response panel, Dr. Nestor Nabe. Dr. Nestor Nabe was my partner research back in 2017. He is the assistant dean of the College of Criminal Justice and Education. So the tangent meet at the criminalization here, Dr. Nabe, but I believe the Omnibus Law is a foreign concept. Dr. Nabe, the floor is yours.
Good morning, Ma'am Lala. Nice meeting you again virtually.
Yes.
Okay, so good morning, everyone. First of all, let me thank the Bayangkara Jakarta Raya University for the invitation extended to the University of Mindanao in this international collaborative lecture series as part of the two institutions' internalization agreement. Second, I would like to commend our lecturer, Sir G.D. Aditya Pratama, SHLLM, that despite the technical audio problem, he was able to provide a succinct, informative, and exciting presentation. The topic on decriminalization of Omnibus Law to enhance investment in Indonesia presented to us in this lecture series is both wise and timely. I see why is in timely because there is a need to examine one country's legislation if it is responsive to the people's general welfare and interest, especially under this global pandemic, which hugely affected business investment in many countries. 1 year after, we are still uncertain if and when we can go back to normal. So, doing a research on the decriminalization of Indonesia's omnibus law is a praiseworthy endeavor that the government policy maker should consider and support at the soonest possible time. On the other hand, the Bayangkara Jakarta Raya University as an academic institution to examine the decriminalization of omnibus law is a manifestation of its commitment to help the Indonesian government in this uncertain time. This is actually worthy of emulation by other academic institutions worldwide. On our end at the University of Mindanao, we have learned a lot from this presentation. Hopefully, we can also do a research on matters affecting our Philippine government's investment and economic policies as our contribution to nation building. Lastly, good luck to the presenter, Sir Gidi Aditya Pratama. We wish your research bears fruit at the soonest possible time. Thank you very much, Terima kasih. Salamat sa inyong lahat.
Okay, salamat po, Dr. Mabe. It's very nice to meet you. Hope after this pandemic we can meet in person once again. And I take your response as an invitation to UBJ and UM to conduct the research on this matter. Thank you, Sir Mabe.
Thank you very much, Ma'am, and we will consider that suggestion.
Thank you. Take care, sir. Okay, so we already heard about the response from the University of Mindanao. Now we will proceed to the questions and answer sections. I will open 3 live questions, so I can see if you have any questions to our presenter, and the rest maybe you can put your questions on the chat room. Okay, the sound is not clear. Okay, sorry, I will repeat that once again. Now we will proceed to the questions and answer sessions. If any of you, or you can type your questions on the chat room. If any have you any questions, you can hit the raise hand button, or you can type your questions on the chat room.
Every comment is about the sound.
Yeah, all right. We will, it's okay, Mr. Gede, if we wait about 5 minutes until the question is coming. Okay. If any of you have any comments or questions or any insight on this topic, because I believe this topic is not your everyday topics, so I believe a lot of students have a huge interest on this topic. So if any of you have any questions, you can raise hand, or you can type your questions on the chat room. Okay, can operator check for the member if any of them raise hands already? Okay, awesome. Bisa tolong di type nggak? Pak Adit, kalau ada questions, just type on the chat.
Oke. Dari admin aja, saya ngomong aja ya.
Okay.
Alright.
Fiona. Okay, we have one questions from Miss Fiona. Before we proceed with the questions, can Miss Fiona type your complete name and your university, please, Mrs. Fiona? Miss Fiona asks Mr. Gede, why Indonesia have to take a regulation about decriminalizations? Miss Fiona, while we are answering your questions, please type your name and your university on the chat room. Okay, Mr. Gede, what do you think about this question?
Okay, for Indonesia, for instance, yeah.
Yes, for Indonesia.
Indonesia have experienced this corona pandemic since the early 2020, and I don't know whether maybe we as an academics doesn't expose too much with the impact because of course we still have our monthly salary.
Yes.
But if you are a business actors, the last 2 weeks I went to Seminyak, I went to Canggu. You know, it is a full tourist spot, and now it is devastated by the pandemic. So the government have to take response. How to attract money, how to attract investment, how to attract business actors to Indonesia, so it can lift up the economy once again. Many ways has been done. The most discussed way is deregulation and debureaucratization to make business actors easier to conducting business in Indonesia. However, as I discussed in this paper and in these seminars, there is one thing that also important as the bureaucratization and deregulation. It is decriminalization, because if we have over-criminalized policy in this country, it will make business actors feel anxious. A slight violation from them can have a criminal consequences, which is a bad. They have a stigma. They can have a stigma from them. So I think that's why every policy that can bring investors, that can bring money to the country, to Indonesia, will have to be taken. And one of it is include the decriminalization policy.
All right, thank you, Mr. Gede Aditya. So it's important because we have a hole here on the investment section during the pandemic, right? Okay, thank you. That was the answers for Miss Fiona from University of. Okay, we have another questions. Operator, please scroll up so I can see the chat room, please. Scroll up, please. Okay. From Ronald Parulian. Okay, Mr. Ronald, while we will answer your questions, please type your full name and your university on the chat room. Next question is Mr. Gede. Speaking of decriminalization, which part of the omnibus law is being criminalized? Oh, this is a tricky question.
Yes.
Before we only talk about this is being criminalized, but a few of us actually still confused which part of the omnibus law, Mr. Gede, is actually being criminalized.
Okay. So I have in my hand a list of. It's about 63 articles. It's about, maybe you can see in here. It is 63 articles. From law number 11 of 2020 compared with law number 26 of 2007, there is article 72 that has been revoked. And okay, I will explain one of the article because it is so many, 63. In the omnibus law, they said any person who utilizes space not in accordance with the special plan from the authorized official as referred to in our that cause the change of special function shall be sentenced to a maximum imprisonment of 3 years and a maximum fine of 1 1 billion rupiah. Okay, in Omnibus Law, it become material delict. It become material delict. In the law number 26 of 2007, it is as long as you utilize space in accordance with the spatial without permit, regardless the change of spatial function. So it is an example of the change of material formal delict become material delict. And we have like in the same law, in the law number 26 year 2007, you can see that article 72, the penal article number 72 has been revoked. And it's go on to 63 articles, at least that I have found. I hope that it should be answered, but
Yes.
if you need a more detailed information about which article that has been revoked or has been changed in the Omnibus Law, you can contact me.
Thank you, Mr. Gede. So I think for Indonesian student, you need to do your research because there are 63 articles actually.
At least.
At least. So it's not done, the list.
I have done it, but I need to recheck it. But as long as I found, it says at least there is 17 that has been revoked and at least 50 that has been changed from formal delict to material delict.
Yeah, so for the Indonesian student, you have to do your research because there's a lot of criminalization on the Omnibus Law, actually. So that was a question from Mr. Ronald Parulian from UBJ. Thank you, Mr. Ronald. So, Dr. Nabe also have a question for you. Just a clarification. Was the research presented to the concerned government agencies of Indonesia, Mr. Gede?
Okay, it is a delicate issue, so I don't think nowadays any Indonesian government have brought up this issue, but it is put on the Omnibus Law.
Yes, sir.
I don't know why they haven't taught it much, but perhaps it will have political consequences if people know that there are so many penal articles that have been revoked.
Yes, because I believe truth area rather than on the bureaucratic section, right?
Maybe they just don't want to brought it up, so people don't know. I don't know.
Yeah. So the people has not clear yet about the Omnibus Law.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. So maybe it can, we hope that can answer your questions, Mr. Nabe. Okay, so next question from Mr. Abdul Razak from UBJ. Crime as a problem, I believe it's not a question but a statement. Let me read that. Crime as a problem of social phenomena remains influenced by various aspects of life in society, such as politics, economy, social, culture, and matters relating to defense and security of the state. Indeed. Thank you for your response, Mr. Abdul Razak. Please scroll down, operator, so I can read the next questions. Okay, scroll up, please. Scroll up. Okay, please stop. Okay. We have the next question from Mr. Anjas Aryo Bimo from University of Marsikal Surya Dharma. Welcome to UBJ and UM, Mr. Anjas. So the questions from Mr. Anjas, interesting topic, Mr. Gede, first of all. Hopefully the topic could make us more prepared and settled, especially when the pandemic is over. Yes, of course. So the question is, what is the biggest impact from these decriminalizations of Omnibus Law, and which sectors that took the biggest impact, Mr. Gede? What do you think about that? The biggest impact?
Okay, for which sectors? I think there are many sectors because Omnibus Law regulates many sectors, from electricity to energy to property and etc. I think many sectors have been impacted by the Omnibus Law and its decriminalization policy, because as you know, it's as I said before, there is 26 legislation that has been decriminalized. 26 legislation in the omnibus law. So there are many sectors from electricity, energy, property, etc., etc. And the biggest impact, yeah, I think the biggest impact is not on the sectors or the business related sectors, but for the law enforcement.
The law enforcement.
Yeah, the law enforcer itself.
Enforcers,
the law enforcers, it will be less job for them, of course. Less job, more easier if they want to have more easier job. I don't know whether it for the police office of the prosecutor office, they will welcome this decriminalization policy or not. I don't know, but it should be easier for them, and they doesn't have too much burden anymore because of this decriminalization on that several factors that have been decriminalized in the omnibus law. I think that is the biggest impact, and of course, less criminal articles is more comfortable for us as a business actors or as a lawyer. Of course, it is easier for us to defend people.
Yeah, thank you. It's interesting. The thing that it took the biggest impact was the business, but the sectors actually you think that will take the biggest impact is the law enforcers, not the business sectors. Interesting. So that was the answers. Thank you for the questions. Oh, actually, Mr. Abdul Razak had a question. What is the crucial aspects between the term of omnibus law supposed to be handled first? That, as we know, all aspect is urgent. Okay, what is the most urgent thing to address in omnibus law, Mr. Gede?
I think omnibus law address almost every issue that make it hard, yeah, to conducting business in Indonesia, such as manpower. Now you can have temporary manpower for 10 years. For 10 years, the recent regulation about manpower, you can have, PKWT, perjanjian kerja waktu tertentu, bisa di Indonesia, you can have it 10 years now, 5 years and another 5 years. So of course, it is more convenient for people to conducting business in Indonesia nowadays. But whether it is fair enough for the worker itself, I don't know. But we have to think. Like this: if we don't give easiness, if we don't give comfort for business, for investors, for money to come to Indonesia, they will go to another country easily, as easy as that. It is a competition. It is global competition to attract what? Attract money, attract investment, attract talent. So yeah, we have to address this issue. Then omnibus law are created to answer this issue. But whether omnibus law has been created with way of Indonesian to make legislation.
So it's too crucial to only address one issue, right? So omnibus law has to be read as a whole regulation. Thank you, Mr. Abdul Razak, I believe from UBJ for the questions. So move to another question. Oh, it's nice today. We have a lot of questions. I think we have time for 3 or 4 more questions, Mr. Gede. Okay. Next question from Mr. Rainandi. I believe this is also from Faculty of Law, UBJ. Good morning. I am Rainandi from Faculty of Law, Bayangkara, Jakarta Raya University. I want to ask, why did the Indonesian government is taking action to decriminalize the omnibus law? Welcome, Professor Tatang. Please join us.
All right, then. I think part of the question has been answered before, yeah. But let me explain it that it is not only the policy of decriminalization, but the policy of deregulation and the policy of debureaucratization, all of which is being enacted to improve the easiness of doing business in Indonesia and to attract investment, attract talents. So every ways are being taken by the Indonesian government to address those issues.
All right. and it will be a huge insight for your study at Bayangkara Jakarta Raya University. Okay, please stop. Okay, from Rohana Sianipar is a lecture from Ubara as well. Thank you, Mr. Rohana. From Faculty of Economic and Business, want to ask, Omnibus Law spirit is indeed aimed at warding off the wave of layoff workers in the face of the 4.0 industrial revolution in Indonesia, and suddenly the COVID-19 pandemic hit the world. Everyone is suffered. So what and how the OL can be the solutions, the Omnibus Law, I believe, can be the solution of this problem. Can you show us, Pak Gede, how the Omnibus Law will be the problem to solve the issue that Ms. Rohana Sianipar asked?
Omnibus Law only enacted in November 2020. So whether it will solve our problem as well as pandemic problem, I think it still needs time to prove. Yeah. Yeah, we don't have evidence right now because it only enacted in November 2020, and the peraturan pemerintah and the government regulation to explain those laws in the Omnibus Law just been enacted yesterday for the 3 PP, PP 35, PP 36, PP 37 tentang upah kerja, about salary, and about foreign workers, and etc. etc. So all the PP-nya, the appliance of the regulation has not been enacted all. So we still need time to see and to effective or not.
Yeah. So sorry, Ms. Rohana Sianipar, since the law has not effectively enacted, we cannot address that. The Omnibus Law enacted 100% in Indonesia. Okay, please scroll down. I believe there is more questions. Operator, it's already addressed. Next questions. Next questions, please. Okay, from Maddio Siahaan. Okay, Maddio Siahaan from Faculty of Economic and Business UBJ want to ask Mr. Gede, what is the effect from the Omnibus Law for employees and investment in Indonesia? Yeah, that's already you talk about the manpower, right? Because many employees want to protest this program. And he asked why we want to protest about this law, Mr. Gede.
Okay, then, on the side of the workers' point of view, of course, it is several disadvantages. Yeah? Since, as you can see from the latest regulation that we have, PP, if I'm not mistaken, PP 35 or PP 36 gitu ya. It is said that PKWT now, temporary worker, yeah, can have five years of working period and another 5 years of working period. So we can have 10 years of period of temporary worker. Of course, it is for people that have already become a temporary worker, it is a disadvantage for them, of course.
Yes.
But on the other hand, for people that, let's say in the tourism industry that have hotels and hundreds of employees behind them, that it will be easier to have temporary workers than to have permanent workers.
Yes.
So the Omnibus Law has been created to attract. The name is Undang-Undang Cipta Kerja Job Creation. The name, the entitled of the law, but the spirit of it is to attract investment, to attract money, to attract talents to the country. So they not go to another country because if we keep up with the current situation that are not giving benefits to investors, to business actors to come to Indonesia, they will easily go to another country, another Southeast Asia country. We are in a race, we are in a competition in here. So that's the issue is in there.
Is it? All right. Thank you. For 3 more questions, but before we proceed to the next questions, I want to remind you that the attendance form already left on the chat, but maybe operator, can you please share the link to the attendance form once again? Yes, okay. So the link to the attendance form will be left on the chat room. Please make sure to fill the attendance form and screenshot your Zoom meeting before you fill the attendance form. Okay, thank you. Can you back to the top, please? From the Suryadi Utomo, I believe. Yes, thank you. The next question is Islamic University. Thank you for joining us and welcome, Mr. Suryadi. The question is, Omnibus Law affect so many aspects. Is there any difficulties during socialization? Oh, this is the law matter actually. During socialization to the people or society in the short time, especially Mr. Adit during this pandemic. What do you think?
Yeah, I think our seminar is one way of socializing.
Yeah, socialization.
Socializing, yeah.
Yes.
I don't know, Bu Clara, whether you know about this decriminalization policy before the seminar or not.
I don't have any clue about this.
Okay, yeah.
Yes.
It's common because the government itself rarely discuss it.
Yes.
The government always explain us about the side, the deregulation sides and the debureaucratization side, but rarely discuss about the criminalization side. So yeah, of course it will need a lot more socialization about this matter for the government. And but I think from this seminar we have we can contribute on this way.
Yes. So in short, the answer is hard. Seminar is actually one way to socializations of that omnibus law. Okay, thank you. Okay, the next questions.
Yeah, I think it is a really great statement from Pak Abdul Razak.
Abdul Razak, can I read that, Mas? Please go back to Mr. Abdul Razak. Okay, Mr. Abdul Razak have a statement here. The impact of the Omnibus Law or Job Creation Act related to the discussions process.
Yeah. Mati.
Okay, so go back to the the impact to the Omnibus Law or Job Creation Act related to the discussions process and post representatives of the Republic of Indonesia in the process and discussions tend to conflict with the 1945 Constitution's Article 1, Paragraph 3, Article 27, Paragraph 1, and Article 28, Paragraph 5, and Law Number 12 of 2011 regarding the formation of legislative regulations as updated by the Law Number 15 of 2019. As a result, the civil society organization oppose and reject this regulation, so that it is hoped that President Joko Widodo can issue a government regulation in lieu of law. Such a word, and thank you for the insight, Mr. Abdul Razak. Mr. Gede.
It's not okay. All right
Okay.
then. Okay, Pak Abdul Razak. Yes, it is exactly correct. As maybe because of technical issue, in the seminars, actually I have addressed this issue on the first part of our seminar. It is right that omnibus law is normally a regulation can only be revised by another regulation that regulates the same matter. But in the omnibus law, with this single legislation, we revoke two legislation and revise another 82 legislations. Whether it is in accordance with the law of lawmaking in Indonesia, already want to try it in the Constitutional Court, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes, thank you. Okay, so actually the statement of Mr. Abdul Razak has already stated by Mr. Gede in the previous slide. Okay, I think we have the second question from the Faculty of Law, I believe, from Bayangkara Jakarta Raya University. The question is, are these efforts considered to weaken law enforcement and have the potential to create arbitrariness for business actors, Mr. Gede?
Okay, great question. Consider to weaken law enforcement. Yeah, how can they, I don't know. But law enforcer in Indonesia is already very strong. They can confiscate things that you have. All the power that the law enforcers have been regulated in the procedural law, not in the omnibus law. Omnibus law doesn't regulate about procedural law. So about the authority that have by the law enforcers, such as police officers or the prosecutor office, I don't think by the enactment of omnibus law. However, it is indeed that omnibus law have revoked or changed some penal articles in this law. So I think maybe the job for law enforcement become harder, since it is harder to prove material has been revised from formal delict to material delict, because in material delict you have to prove the consequences of the acts that has been regulated, not only the fulfillment of the articles of crimes, right? So I think it's not jeopardize the authority of the entities. It will be harder than previously.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Gede. Please, next questions, operator. Let me check, is there any questions? Okay. Mr. Ronald Karwalian already asked us, actually, Mr. Gede, but he wants to continuing my previous question. Education sectors. Mr. Gede, can you address these questions in the education sector, please, Mr. Gede?
All right.
Education sectors.
Okay, let me see this. As an educator, myself be punished by criminal sanctions. Like, okay, for example, someone in debt for you, someone in debt to you, someone in debt to you. Instead of report that person to the police, so the police will jail them, you have to go through civil procedure, gugatan non prestasi, earn premium remedium, or a first sanctions that should be taken. It should be a last resort. Criminal should be a last resort. So that's why this decriminalization is so as nowadays. That I think that nowadays the government has taken step that criminal law should be like that.
Yeah, but maybe Mr. Adit, because he asked about the education sectors. We are on the education sectors, right? We are the lectures. If the omnibus law has enacted, so we have to wait 10 years before we are being a permanent lectures, right? So I think that's one of the disadvantage on the education. All right, so that's all. I don't think we have another questions. And Mr. Nabe also remind us to all the attendees from the University of Mindanao, Bayangkara, Jakarta University, and our guests from another university. Please fill the attendance form so we can send the email. Thank you so much for your questions, your passion on these seminars. I take a note that we have a guest from University of Tarumanegara, from Surya Dharma Marsakal University, from Bandung Islamic University, from University of Mindanao, and of course from University of Bayangkara, Jakarta Raya University. I hope we can meet you next time in the third collaborative status lecture with another faculty from University of Mindanao. Thank you very much. Selamat pagi, magandang umaga. And salamat po for joining this conversation. Back to you, host, please.
Bayangkara Jakarta University, bringing award a certificate to the resource speaker. Please welcome Vice Rector Professor Cakak Mandi.
Jakaraya University or Ubarajaya is one private university and Rata Bhakti Foundation. Established in 1995, Ujaya aims to contribute development of a high-quality education at national level. Ever since its establishment, Ubarajaya is steadily moving forward to become an internationally accepted and class higher education university. Committed to become a science-based university, Ubarajaya has gained high expertise in security studies. Ubarajaya is directed to produce human resources who have superior characters and who are able to compete globally. Two campuses located in South Jakarta and in Bekasi City. The university is conducting bachelor and magister level education with 7 faculties: engineering, faculty of law, faculty of economic and business, faculty of communications, faculty of psychology, faculty of education, and faculty of computer science. For postgraduate programs, Ubarajaya conduct 2 programs: Legal Science Masters and Management Masters. Ubarajaya has 2 research development centers. They are Police Science and Anti-Corruption Research Center and National Security Research Center. To support the learning and teaching process, Ubarajaya has various facilities, among others: television studio, radio studio, public relation laboratory, photo and editing laboratory, library, language laboratory, psychology laboratory, experimental psychology laboratory, audiovisual psychology laboratory, accounting laboratory,